Hello, my wonderful friends, and a truly special welcome to each and every one of you joining me today. It is an absolute delight to have you here. Before we uncover a hidden gem of history together, I want to take a sincere moment to send out my very best wishes to you and your loved ones. In our fast-paced world, your health and happiness are what truly matter most. So, from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely hope this message finds you feeling fantastic, full of positive energy, and in the very best of health. May your days be filled with joy, peace, and wellness. Now, let's all take a nice, deep breath together and get ready to explore one of the most charming and little-known secrets tucked away in one of the world's most famous landmarks. So, let's talk about the Eiffel Tower. It is arguably the most iconic structure in the world, a symbol of Paris, of France, of romance, and of incredible human engineering. Every year, millions of people from every corner of the globe travel to see it, to photograph it, to ride the elevators to its viewing platforms, and to simply stand in its awe-inspiring presence. But for all its fame, for all the millions of photographs and the countless eyes that have gazed upon it, the Eiffel Tower holds a secret. A secret perched high above the City of Light, a private world hidden in plain sight. Right near the very top of the tower, there is a small, secluded apartment. This isn't a maintenance room or a storage closet. It is a fully furnished, cozy apartment complete with velvet curtains, wallpaper, furniture, a piano, and even a grand piano. And this apartment belonged to one man, and one man only, the brilliant engineer who designed and built the tower himself, Gustave Eiffel. The existence of this private sanctuary is a story of ambition, of personal triumph, and of a man who wanted a place to quietly admire his magnificent creation and to host the most famous and influential people of his era. It is a story that adds a deeply human and intimate layer to a structure made of over 18,000 pieces of iron and 2.5 million rivets. To understand why this apartment is so special, we need to travel back in time to the late 19th century. Paris was preparing to host the 1889 World's Fair, a massive international exhibition meant to celebrate the centennial of the French Revolution and to showcase France's industrial and cultural prowess to the world. The centerpiece of this fair was to be a monumental entrance arch, a tower unlike anything the world had ever seen. The design was submitted by the firm of Gustave Eiffel, who was already a renowned engineer famous for his iron bridges and structures. His design for a 300-meter tower, which was essentially unheard of at the time, was selected. The construction was a marvel of precision and speed, completed in just over 2 years. But from the very beginning, the tower was met with fierce criticism. Many of Paris's leading artists and intellectuals signed a petition protesting its construction, calling it a useless and monstrous eyesore that would dominate and disgrace the beautiful Parisian skyline. They believed this skeleton of iron was a gross insult to the city's elegant stone architecture. Gustave Eiffel had to fiercely defend his project, arguing for its scientific utility and its symbolic strength. In the midst of this controversy, he made a decision for himself. He decided that he would include a small private apartment for his own use, built into the fabric of the tower, just below the final summit platform. Imagine the construction site. Workers are assembling this gigantic iron lattice, piece by piece, rivet by rivet, climbing higher and higher into the sky. And as they approach the top, they build not just the public viewing platforms, but this private, enclosed space for the boss. When the tower was completed and open to the public, people were absolutely fascinated by this apartment. It instantly became the subject of intense curiosity and wild speculation. Here was this incredibly luxurious and personal space, sitting at the highest point in Paris, in the most famous new structure in the world, and nobody could get in. It was Gustave Eiffel's private retreat. Newspapers ran stories about it, and cartoonists drew pictures imagining the lavish parties he must be throwing up there. The public was captivated. It was the ultimate penthouse suite, and it was completely off-limits. Eiffel himself furnished it with great care. He chose warm, rich materials to contrast with the cold iron of the tower. The room was decorated with beautiful dark wood furniture, patterned wallpaper, heavy velvet drapes, and even a grand piano. There were bookcases, oil paintings, and a large, comfortable sofa. It was the epitome of Parisian comfort, a cozy and elegant nest suspended 1,000 feet in the air. Gustave Eiffel used this apartment not as a full-time residence, of course, but as a personal office, a laboratory, a quiet place to think, and most famously, as an exclusive salon to entertain some of the most celebrated guests of the age. This was his greatest privilege and his most powerful tool for promoting his tower. He would invite famous scientists, engineers, and inventors to discuss experiments, as the tower was soon used for groundbreaking work in meteorology, aerodynamics, and radio transmission. But he also hosted celebrities and royalty. The list of people who enjoyed the hospitality of that small apartment is like a who's who of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The most famous anecdote involves Thomas Edison, the legendary American inventor. During the 1889 World's Fair, Edison visited the tower and was a guest of Eiffel in the apartment. The two geniuses spent an evening there, talking about science and innovation. As a gift, Edison presented Eiffel with one of his newest inventions, a prototype of the phonograph. Eiffel was utterly fascinated by this device that could record and play back sound. That very phonograph remained in the apartment for years and can still be seen there today. Other illustrious guests included royalty and presidents, all of whom were eager to experience the novelty and prestige of visiting this most exclusive address in Paris. The apartment also served a more personal and scientific purpose for Eiffel. He was a meticulous scientist and engineer. The tower was instrumented with various weather gauges, barometers, and other scientific equipment. Eiffel used his apartment as a base to conduct his own experiments on wind resistance, gravity, and physics. He would sit up there and observe how the tower moved and swayed in the wind, making precise calculations that would later contribute to the development of aerodynamics and even influence the design of early airplanes. He could look out his windows and see all of Paris spread out beneath him, a living map that he could study. The apartment was his crow's nest, his personal observatory from which he could see the world from a perspective few had ever experienced. It was a place of work, but also a place of profound inspiration. He once said that he felt he had a unique relationship with the tower, that he understood its personality and its strengths because he had spent so much time intimately connected to it, high above the city, in his private quarters. For the general public, the apartment was an object of pure fantasy. They could not visit it, but they could peer at its windows from the public observation deck just above it. This only added to its mystique. It was a physical manifestation of the exclusivity and genius of Gustave Eiffel himself. He was the master of the tower, and this was his castle in the sky. After Eiffel's death in 1923, the apartment, like the tower itself, continued to evolve. The tower was originally meant to be dismantled after 20 years, but Eiffel saved it by demonstrating its usefulness as a radio antenna. The apartment, however, lost its primary resident. For decades, it remained mostly as he left it, a time capsule frozen in the sky. It was occasionally used for storage or for technical equipment related to the tower's broadcasting functions. But it was never truly forgotten. In recent years, the company that operates the Eiffel Tower Société d'Exploitation de la Tour Eiffel, has restored the apartment and opened it up for the public to see. Well, not to enter, but to view. Today, when you take the elevator to the top of the tower, you can walk past the windows of Gustave Eiffel's apartment and look inside. The space has been meticulously recreated to look exactly as it did when he used it. You can see the mannequins of Gustave Eiffel and Thomas Edison deep in conversation, the phonograph on the table, the rich furnishings, and the warm, inviting interior. It is a fascinating glimpse into the past, a chance to connect with the human story behind the Iron Giant. The existence of this secret apartment reminds us that even our grandest, most monumental achievements are often driven by very human desires. Gustave Eiffel didn't just want to build the tallest structure in the world, he also wanted a place of his own within it. He wanted a quiet space to think, to create, and to share his accomplishment with friends and fellow visionaries. It adds a layer of warmth and personality to a structure that could otherwise feel cold and impersonal. It is the ultimate artist's signature on his masterpiece. The Eiffel Tower is more than just a feat of engineering. It is a home, a sanctuary, and a testament to the dream of one man who literally reached for the sky and built himself a room there. So, the next time you see a picture of the Eiffel Tower, or if you are ever lucky enough to visit it, remember to look up towards the top. Remember that hidden within that famous iron framework is a small, warm room with a history as rich and captivating as the tower itself. It is a secret apartment that captures the imagination and reminds us that even in the most public of places, there can always be room for a little private magic.